Howdy and welcome to the 6th episode of Tales of the Meta. My name is Michael Lemke.
Justin Shaft.
And I am a puppy enthusiast, and Shaft plays Lorcana really well. We are fresh off of PPG this weekend. It was a lot of fun. I know that you top 16, you and Chris both. I was there just hanging out. I mean, I went 5-4.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Most of these events, I usually just kind of hang out. Don't really talk to too many people, just be by myself. But at this one, I was networking, talking with a lot of people. I met the guys from Glumineers, the guys from Glass City Showdown, talked to Liam from Lumineers a little bit. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, the TFM guys as well were all there. Shout out to Dan for giving me the bounty or whatever. I was one of the 8 bounty people. Shout out Melissa, Dick Burns, commentating. Oh, TFM's super great.
Yeah, so they did a great job. TFM did a great job running it. And so I just want to say, before we get started, we are going to talk about PPG a little bit. And then we are going to talk a little bit more about set championships. So what should you run? What are the matchups? If you think there's going to be a lot of one deck at your set championship, what do we think you should run? So we're going to go into that. And first we're going to talk about PPG. And how can we talk about PPG without talking about one of the most controversial moments? Wasn't really that controversial.
Controversial, yeah.
You called a judge.
I called a judge. Controversial.
Yep. And before we get started on what happened, what the judge call was all about, I do just want to say, first and foremost, it is 100% okay to call a judge. That is what they are there for. So if you have a rules clarification, if you don't know something, if you just want to ask a question, calling a judge is the right thing, and nobody should ever really be shunned for that. Judge calls should be encouraged. But with that being said, what the heck happened?
Well, yeah, first of all, just piggybacking off what you said, calling a judge is great. If you ever have a weird interaction with your opponent, the first thing you should do is call a judge. This is not what happened. My top 16 opponent was super great. Liked everything that he did everything in a great way. Mm-hmm. But he played a Rapunzel. He challenged my Goofy, then played a Rapunzel, he healed it for 1. And I wasn't
drew 1 card, heal for 1.
I wasn't sure if you could partially heal with Rapunzel or not. It says up to 3, and I understand up to 3 means you could do 2, 1, or 0. But whatever, Lorcanito, the thing that we never name publicly, you can't do that on Lorcanito.
Right.
And I didn't know if there was some weird thing where Lorcanito was right, and I know Bell accomplished Mystic, the 4/4 that moves damage. You can't just move 1 damage here to there. And I said that to the judge, and I was just like, look, this is the Lorcanito thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm wrong. Probably I'm wrong, because I can read this card. And he was just like, yeah, I think you're wrong. If you want to appeal, you can. And I was just like, okay. I feel like you're not really, yeah, I guess I appeal.
Right. So you didn't feel like you were heard in that moment, so you appealed. And that's totally fine, right? That's what judges are for. That's why they're there. And you wanted max clarification. You want to feel like you were heard. And so no one should ever really be shunned or kind of made to feel bad for calling a judge, especially in these top tiers of these tournaments, right?
Yeah, and I had I think it was on that turn I had a Maui in play.
Yep.
But I also had a How Far I'll Go in my hand. So I'm not even necessarily sure if it was better for me in the moment if the Lauren stayed ready or if it was sideways. I'm not even sure, him having the extra card, it would take me a while to figure out what was actually better.
I think from when I was watching it and not knowing what's in your hand and knowing now that you had to let it go that you were
How Far I'll Go.
Or How Far I'll Go. That
I just wanted to make sure that it was
maybe him drawing 2 cards might have been the best thing for him.
Yeah, who knows, right?
But I think calling the judge was the right move, right?
Right.
I mean,
I just wanted to make sure it was done right. And unless people are actually sharking people, whatever, creating a situation, making something up, trying to take advantage of somebody else doing something wrong, we should be encouraging judge calls.
So I'd actually already gone home. So I was watching it on the stream, and there was a whole bunch of speculation in the chat about what was going on, and so I just wanted to get clarification. I mean, some people maybe thought that semantics, right? That he said one thing and it didn't, but it was just you clarifying what the card said and how it was ruled and that it was okay for him to do that.
Yeah, Lorcanito, basically.
Yeah, and that's a little disclaimer is that not all interactions on that site are...
Yeah, and everyone should be aware of that, and I was aware of it, but I just was...
But if you ever have a question, you want to call a judge, right? I mean, the judges are there for a reason. Like, they're there to talk to.
I've played 5 DLCs, Continentals, a bunch of the Charlie's tournaments. I've never called a judge. That was the first judge call I've ever had.
Was it really? Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, Lorcana is a super simple game. And I'm paying attention. If you ink twice or something, I know. And this was just the first time where I wasn't necessarily sure. But.
Yeah, I think they've done a pretty good job with all the cards of making them
templating and
pretty like they're very literal, right?
Yep.
So if you read the card, a lot of times you can kind of get what they're trying to do.
Right.
But if you just don't know, right? If you just have any inkling that you just don't know, call a judge. There should be no shame in it. We do need to normalize calling judges. Like, they're there. Most of the time they get there pretty quickly. So call a judge. Judge calls are okay. So with that out of the way, I think we want to talk about your deck first. Because you went in it with a Ruby Sapphire.
Ruby Sapphire Con Burn Shark deck.
Yeah. DKP Burn. I mean, I think this is what you probably consider the strongest deck right now, right?
I think this is probably the best deck right now. Either this or the Broom deck. I think both are kind of interchangeable. Both have good matchups in a lot of spots. Both are very good on the play. Both are very, at least, passable on the draw. I think this deck was good. It was a great choice. Batsu, I ended up losing to in round 3. Ended up winning the tournament. He had an incredible weekend. He, top forward Friday, won Saturday, and then won the 3v3.
Oh, did he really? I didn't see the 3v3.
Yeah, he went crazy.
That's awesome. Did he? And it was all the same deck?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I think he changed 2 cards, but it was all the DKB version.
Okay.
Shout out to Batsu for not subscribing to the YouTube channel because he 2-0'd me, but did not get a Yensid.
No Yensid. So. That's okay. I mean, honestly. And that was your only loss in Swiss.
That was my loss in Swiss.
Yep.
And then, do we want to pull up the deck that beat me in top 16? That was really interesting.
Yeah. So before we do that, are there any choices that you made? So I know Merlin Carpetbagger.
Merlin Carpetbagger?
Is that what it's called?
No, just Merlin Carpetbag.
But that's funny.
Yeah, but that card's really good, and just against purple decks or in the Mirror-esque, against the Ruby Sapphire decks.
Okay.
Just being able to put it in for free with Tamatoa, and then just having this 2 ink. I keep wanting to say mana. 2 ink, draw a card every turn, draw 2 cards every turn is just crazy.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so getting that popsicle back is that? Yeah. That was the only thing that really stuck out to me about this list, as opposed to DKP's. Was that Merlin carpet bag?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Vitalosphere. 3 Sisus felt like too many. 2 Hideaways felt too much. But shout out to Kurt. Kurt built this deck for us. Kind of, when I say us, I mean me and Logan both played the same 61.
You played 61 for real?
Yeah. It wasn't my deck. It was Kurt's.
Okay.
So shout out to Kurt for helping me top this event. But I normally play 60. I am a 60 truther.
Yeah.
But see, I mean, you could do well with 61.
Hideaway I thought was a good take into this tournament.
Yeah, 2 Hideaways is a lot, but
it was. But I feel like it was a good card specifically going into this tournament.
Yep.
Because there were a ton of times where I saw, people just put manners down and it was game.
Yeah, not just manners. Workshop's really the main target for it.
Yeah, and then workshop turn 3. Yeah.
Yep.
If you get rid of workshop turn 3 against the items, it just kind of really slows them
whenever
down.
they play the first workshop, you can win the game.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we can go into the deck that beat you, right? I mean, it was spicy.
Yeah, very spicy.
Yep.
The Goofy that allows you to untap your cards at the end of your turn if they have damage is crazy. Robin Hood and Aurora have some crazy combos together. This guy that I played, Justin, super nice guy, was super excited about his list, and I love to see that. Just people being excited about Lorcana makes me excited. And he was talking about how a lot of these cards are rotating, getting these guys to, excel in a tournament is super awesome.
So a couple things I watched his interview after he won, and one of the things that I found really interesting that I think a lot of y'all should take is deck building. So he kind of went through his process of deck building, and what he does is he says, okay, this is what everyone else is building. I am not going to worry about that. I'm going to build my own deck with my own stuff, and if it doesn't work, so this is the key part, is that if it doesn't work, I'm going to go back and look at what everyone else is doing, right? But if it kind of works, and if he feels like he has something going, then he continues with that. And one of the big things that I see in this deck that is kind of him being different than everyone else is no 1-drop Rhino.
Oh yeah, no rhinos, no happies either. He's playing the Dwarven Mines to deal, so he's able to like deal damage to his own stuff, deal 1 damage to his own Piglet, then untap it with Goofy at the end of the turn. There's like a lot of the things you'll look at in this deck and go, that doesn't seem optimal. But then you put a little bit more thought into it, and you go, okay, it's because of this interaction with Aurora or whatever it is.
That's another card. I mean, there's 4 Auroras, 4 Goofies.
Yep.
I mean, no one else that I really saw is running those. And then, I mean, Goofy and Smee. I mean, that's just...
Yeah, it's a very good... Yeah, you're able to put the damage on Smee, have the Goofy trigger enter the bag, then resolve the Goofy trigger, untap your Smee. Definitely just what hosed me in the matchup. I had Maui's for days, but just wasn't able to kind of slow the initial lore down enough to...
Yeah, I love what this deck does with the bag because it really takes advantage of the opportunity to pick your trigger order.
Right.
Because, I mean, if you have... he talked about it a little bit. If you have Smee, Goofy, and Aurora, you can have Smee take a damage, then be healed by Goofy, which then also readies Aurora, and it's just, I mean, the synergy is just kind of...
Yeah, super really cool interaction with Rapunzel. You don't have to heal all the damage either, for those of you guys that didn't know that.
So I don't know if you know this, but it's up to 3. Yeah. That's new for Justin. I don't think he's never gonna forget that. But he's gonna know what's coming if someone doesn't heal for 3, right?
Right.
And then the Robin Hood Sharpshooter, right? That no one's running that card. He likes it. He stands by it. I think it fits in the deck with what he's trying to do.
Yeah, I think I'd want to go up to 10 1-drops. I'd probably cut the Robin Hoods, but it seemed like from talking to him, it was kind of his pet card. Yep. Every time he mulliganed, I was just praying for no 1-drop Daisy. Unfortunately, he had it all 3 games. But...
he did, yeah. I mean, he had Daisy Smee, all the games, which is kind of what he wanted. I think for me too, the Robin Hood would be the first card. Basically because it's uninkable. I mean, it's uninkable and too. But,
shout out to Justin. This deck is sick. Love the innovation of the whole thing.
Yeah, he did a great job. So if we're going to talk about Amber Steel, do you want to talk about the second place deck?
Second place deck? Oh, yeah, the deck that beat Brooms in top 16.
Yes, the deck that did beat Brooms. It was run by Rob S. He did really well in this tournament. I mean, second is just amazing.
Also a spicy deck.
Very spicy. So that's something that I wanted to talk about a little bit is the difference between Friday and Saturday. So Friday, all of the top Amber Steel decks had a whole new world.
Sure.
And then on Saturday, none of the top Amber Steel decks had a whole new world.
I know a lot of the top players were transitioning to Ruby Sapphire items to kind of hate out all the songs deck, basically.
So I think that is one of the things that some people can take away from this is that just because a deck is good at one tournament does not mean that it's necessarily the right deck for another tournament.
Even from day to day, it can overcorrect sometimes, which is crazy.
But one card in this, I mean, the Daisy Duck.
Daisy Duck and You Have Forgotten Me. Daisy Duck is super interesting. I guess he just wanted a 4-drop to be able to sing these Zeuses, which I think Zeuses are also in a really good place.
I think when he explained it a little bit on where he came for this. So You Have Forgotten Me, I think, is one of his favorite cards. So he's been trying to get that work for sets and sets. But the reason why he really brought this discard version is that people really were running on only having 2, 3, 4 cards in their hand.
Right.
And so that's when the discard actually starts to work. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you get your opponent have less cards in hand, cards are obviously more valuable. And so then he can start to kind of take advantage of that. You Have Forgotten Me is a card that I played at last set championship because I think, especially with Tipo and people getting rid of their cards and going down to that 1 or 2 card limit.
Yeah, the dock deck specifically is really good against, right? Because normally they'll empty their hand, have a dock only in their hand, and then play into it, and then you just, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think that happened to Chris, right? I mean, he was all set up. He was emptying his hand so that he could utilize dock and get the most value for it, and then all of a sudden it's You Have Forgotten Me.
Yep, or Daisy Duck. Right?
Or Daisy Duck, yeah. I mean, if you only have one card in hand, that Daisy Duck really is a powerhouse to just get rid of it.
I think Daisy Duck's really good.
Yeah. And then the Aerial, I really like the Aerial. Got enough songs, Bare Necessities, kind of.
Yeah, going up to... I don't think you have enough songs in this deck. I'm sure the Aerial missed a bunch here. But it's just a concession to wanting to play 4 Zeuses, I think.
Well, I think the Aerial should miss a bunch. Watching Rob on stream, I'm not sure it missed.
Well, you don't get second in a tournament by missing on Aerial.
That's true, yeah. I think it kind of drew exactly what he needed, which was awesome, and that's why it's there.
Shout out to Rob.
Yeah, Rob, he played really well. Yeah, beat Chris.
Yep.
They were really confused at how Chris even won a game.
Yeah, Chris talked about that a little bit, but brooms are broomin', as they say.
They say, who's they?
Me.
Okay, you. Okay, yeah, that makes sense because it's you. It's Chris's deck. What other decks? I mean, what other decks from this tournament?
I lost to Batsu in round 3.
Yes, we'll talk about Batsu's deck because he did get first place. Here's Batsu's deck. Super spicy, I think.
Super good in the mirror. He 2-0'd me.
I think it was great in the mirror. There were a couple techs. The Hades, the Maleficent.
I think the Hades is somewhat normal. The Maleficent, on the other hand, is not. He's also got the carpet bag. Pretty just clean list. He's all the way up to 4 Tala. I dropped a Tala to play a 3rd Goofy. But for the most part, pretty standard, pretty good. I kind of like Maleficent as a choice right now. It kind of wrecked me on a turn where I stayed on 6 ink, had a shark in play with 2 Sisus, was planning on playing a Sisu if he Hades me, but then he just played Maleficent, and the game ended there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Maleficent was really good into the mirror. I think one time he drew it that he couldn't really utilize it, but other than that, I mean, I think it was a good card, and then Hideaway. I mean, one Hideaway. Yep. Again, a pretty good card. So congrats to Batsu for having a really successful weekend.
Yep.
I know that you had a lot of fun and
shout out to PPG.
Yeah, PPG, well-run tournament. It was a lot of fun. The next one, it's gonna be in Denver,
Colorado.
Yep, it's coming up. They're doing it at the Gaylord Resort.
Yeah, September 12th through the 14th at the Gaylord Resort. Right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be very family-friendly. Have you ever been to a Gaylord Resort?
No.
They are a lot of fun. I think there might be an indoor water park.
Okay.
I know there's a water park for sure. I don't know if it's indoor. I think the one in Dallas is indoor, which is really cool. It's just a fun place. If you have family, I know Wonderland was talking about it, that he's going to bring his wife. She said that she's a resort girly now. So
cool.
Anybody with families, you can just turn your family into resort people and bring them to the PPG event.
Yeah, but that's so far away. Let's talk about Set Champs, which is right now.
Set Champs. We are getting into Set Champs. So, what are we playing for Set Champs? What do you think?
What are we playing? We are playing Brooms or the Con deck, the Burn deck, the Shark deck.
I'm not. You know what I'm playing?
That's puppies. It for us today, guys.
I'll bring puppies, right? So I did talk to someone at the event that told me that the second I mentioned puppies in a video, they just turned it off. So
I talked to more than one person.
Yep. So see you, Logan. Have fun. But puppies, I'm gonna be playing puppies. I've been practicing a little bit this week, actually, puppies, so that I can actually play it for Set Champs.
Do you have your list?
I do have my list. I can pull it up. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna have a lot of evasives. Here's the list.
4 popsicle, 2 invited to the balls. Do you think that's? You think you'll be able to hit off the invited to the balls enough?
Yeah, I think so. I think 6 non-characters. I mean, that means if I play an invited to the ball, there's a maximum of 5. And usually, if I can get a popsicle early, then it's really gonna be a maximum of 4. Because I'm trying to get popsicle maybe turn 1, or I'm gonna ink it if I'm trying to go really aggressive. But turn 1 popsicle with the bell is one of the goals.
You cut a Ludwig in this deck? You don't think that's the best card in here?
I don't. So Ludwig, I think Ludwig for me was really only for B prep. Because with all the wards...
Yeah, it's like Ursula, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I don't really need to. If I'm playing against Amber Steel, or really any of the Steel decks, if I think they're going to have a lot of songs, I mean, I'm just playing the ward characters, so they really can't sing those songs to attack me anyway. So, yeah, I like 2 Ludwigs.
Can't believe you got me talking about puppies.
I know, right? We got Justin talking about puppies. He's trying to tell me how to do better at puppies, and he did not talk about my 11 Dalmatian puppies. So the reason for 11 Dalmatian puppies, I will just go ahead and tell you right now
it's missing a 0 and then it's 101.
Well, I wish if there was a 0 in the middle, that'd be fun. But in the original 101 Dalmatians movie, there are 15 puppies that are born to Perdita.
Okay.
And so for it to me to be called a puppy deck, it has to have at least 15 puppies, or else it just doesn't count, right? So 15 puppies. Which, by the way, a little tangent from this weekend at PPG, I did play at table 101.
Okay, so you just admitted that it has to have 15 puppies to be a puppy deck. So the world's deck is not a puppy deck. Thank you.
No, it's
we
a
can
bodyguard
move on.
deck. All right. I disagree with you.
You just said it.
No, that's for me. For me to run a puppy deck, right? I have to have 15.
I got you. Sorry.
No, he's trying to cook over here, and
I did cook.
whatever. He's doing whatever. So if we're gonna talk about another deck that I think that people are gonna be running.
Yeah, this is one of the choices I think are a good choice for upcoming set champs that start this Saturday. Play 12 1-drops, though. I think Chris cuts a Chernobog. I think that's crazy. But this deck is a very good deck.
I don't think he didn't really... Since CCS, I don't think he's really changed much in practice.
It's the same 60, I think, yeah.
I think it is the exact same 60 from that, and I know that we've talked to him that he would change a couple things.
Yeah.
I think he would go down in Fire the Cannons to 2, maybe.
It just depends on what your metagame is going to be, what you expect your metagame to be. If you think it's going to be a lot of Amber Steel, you got to play a bunch of cannons. If you don't have to play a bunch of cannons.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
So with that being said, so if we're talking set championships, what decks do we think that we are going to be seeing the most at all of these stores?
Well, the thing about set champs is it's going to be like 20 or 30 people of your locals, and it just depends, right? You will know what people are playing more than anybody else.
So if let's say that someone's out, so let's say you're out there and you're like, hey, I think there's going to be a ton of this Amber Steel aggro.
Sure.
At my store. What would you run with that?
I would play Sharks. I would play the DKP version. I think that deck is very good against that deck on the play and pretty decent on the draw. I wouldn't mind trying out the list that I lost to in top 16 too. I think that's a super cool list.
Okay, yeah. With the Goofy's Auroras.
Yeah, I think that's a cool thing.
You'd probably cut the Robin Hood, but
yeah, I would.
Yep. Or I think now that would you add the Shift Robin Hood now that if you have that smaller one?
Absolutely.
Or, no. Okay.
No,
see, this is how it goes, right? I try to throw out fun stuff and it just gets shut down. But that's probably best usually.
It is best, yeah.
Yeah. So let's say that we do go to a store that has a bunch of the Shark decks.
Shark
Your
deck. So
DKP list.
The thing about the Shark deck is that there's no like crazy terrible matchup. It's pretty flat against everything, but just really good on the play. Has game against everything on the draw. There's nothing that really crushes Sharks. Maybe Ruby Amethyst with like Tremaines and stuff like that, but.
So like a really low to the ground, like just normal Ruby Amethyst.
But again, then I think it loses to the aggro deck. So it's kind of it's like this rock paper scissors thing where I don't think Ruby Amethyst is quite good enough to be what you want it to do. But
okay, and then I think one of the decks that I'm gonna pull a deck up from this weekend, but I think that we are going to see quite a bit of, and I've been seeing a lot of on the site that we cannot name, is this super hyper Diablo deck.
Yeah.
With 1 million Diablos. So if you see this, if you think this is going to be the deck that you're trying to beat, what are you thinking? What goes really, really good into this deck?
I think Brooms has the best matchup against this deck specifically.
Okay. Yeah, Brooms has quite a bit of answers for the evasive Diablos.
Yeah, it just doesn't care about the Diablo 3 whatsoever, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to this guy, Juice,
yeah.
Whatever it is on Melee. He top 8'd the Dallas DLC, and then like won on Friday and top, I believe, 8'd on Saturday.
Yep.
That's a crazy run.
I mean, it is.
I hear he's getting keys to the city.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, I just made that up, but they were making jokes about it, and I think it's funny.
So I think that there's a lot of good options based on what your store is kind of running, what you think is going to be heavy at your store. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us what you think your store is going to be heavy at, and I won't tell you what to run, but Shaft can tell you what to run.
Yeah, reach out to me or Lemke on Twitter. I'm Justin_Shaft on Twitter.
Probably Facebook would be the best way to reach me. That's probably going to be the quickest way. I don't know if I'm really on Twitter that much. But speaking of Twitter, I mean, you've gone on a couple YouTube shows, kind of a content run this week. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about the content that you did do?
Yeah, Ultra Academy for J-Bomb. Go check that out. He did a Broom segment this week that I was on. And then World Class Cards is coming out with a ton of content for you guys to watch. We did a interview with DKP this week. Go check that out. It's awesome. Once again, World Class Cards, YouTube.
Yeah. So if you are gonna run brooms, if you are gonna do this Amethyst Steel broom deck with Yin Sid, then you should 100% go watch J-Ron's video with Shaft on it. They talk all about how to mulligan, about what cards you're looking for, about how to run the deck. So really good video. And then DKP, y'all asked him some questions. I think each of y'all had 2 questions that y'all asked him. So go check that out. World Class Cards, shout out y'all. And then I think a bunch of the World Class Cards, not a bunch, but some of the World Class Card guys are going to be going to Sharp Gaming to do their tournament. I think it's an 8K coming up.
Yep.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. We do have a lot of big tournaments coming up. CCS is still, they're running all their tournaments. They're going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
PPG in Denver. Glass City Showdowns, I think they're about to announce they're going to do some stuff. Just a lot of great places around a lot of good tournaments. But other than that, that's all we got.
Yep. See you guys next week.
I'll be running puppies, so I'll let you know how it goes. See you guys.